Okay, folks, it's time for Mike's Instant Movie Review. The movie is Sweetwater. Nat Clifton is the subject matter. He was one of the first 3 NBA basketball players of African American descent, or black, whatever you prefer, to play in the National Basketball Association. And basically, this movie makes a case that Sweetwater, by all accounts, really should have been known as the first African American to play in the NBA, and he was kind of, through a turn of events, robbed of that honor. And that's why even a smart guy like myself never really heard of the Nat Clifton story, which is interesting because he was actually born in Clifton, Nathaniel, and his mother gives him up to live with his father early in the movie. Spoilers, should you see this movie? Yes, I think you should. You don't have to be a huge basketball fan or a civil rights activist to enjoy this movie. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought it was solid. Normally I don't like to read other people's critiques or reviews, but I just read Roger Ebert's review of this movie. And Roger, who I have a lot of respect for, I think it was Roger Ebert, he was very cynical about this thing, saying that his opening line was using the term, a magical Negro movie. His words, not mine. I felt like his review, if you look for it online, it was very cynical. And I think that's just the thing where if you see too many movies, and look, I've seen enough movies where I saw some tropes or some stuff in this movie that I've seen in other movies, okay? But I'm sure Ebert's seen probably 30 or 40 times as many movies in his life than I've seen in mine, maybe 50 times as many. So if you see too many movies, you're just going to get cynical about the experience. If you go to too many baseball games, you're going to get cynical. I've been to a lot of pro wrestling matches. I get cynical about what I'm watching. So I think it's just one of those deals, because for me, every point that Ebert made, I can see what he's saying, but it's all from a very cynical perspective. The story is the story, right? So it's like, if his story, in this case Sweetwater's, if he has some similarities, or if there's some similar scenes between his story and, say, 42, the Jackie Robinson movie that came out 6 or 7 years ago with Chadwick Boseman as Jackie Robinson, but they were in the same type of environment. It was New York, it was Los Angeles, it was Middle America, the South, all points in between, the Midwest, in this time period of civil rights and segregation being broken down and barriers being taken down. So if the time period is similar and the stories are about the firsts of these African American gentlemen playing these sports, why wouldn't there be certain scenes that are similar throughout these stories? Because things were similar. People were going through the same type of shit. So to go out of your way, Ebert, okay, let me take you to school a little bit. To go out of the way, do you want a fucking alien to come out of the sky and talk to Sweetwater in the middle of the movie just because they didn't do that in 42? What are we talking about here? If these were the situations, these are the situations. Now, Ebert also mentioned, because Siskel was the one that passed away, the bald one and the fat one, as we used to say. But Ebert, I guess, is still alive. See, I thought Ebert passed away too, but the review said Roger Ebert, so we're going with that. And if I'm getting it all fucked up, I'm saying it's just fucking hot. It's a hot day. The movie theater, I found this theater here in Florida that apparently, if I go to like a thinking man's movie, I'm the only one in the goddamn theater. I guess everyone else has seen Super Mario Brothers or whatever the fuck else. I haven't seen that yet. I'm sure I'll see it eventually. But I asked a friend of mine about the Super Mario Brothers. He went to go see it, and he said, oh, it's great. It's for the fans. Well, I guess I'm not a fucking fan because I'm not 12, okay? So I go to see this goddamn movie, Sweetwater. I'm in the theater by myself. I'm wearing sandals. Occasionally, I'm taking them off. I'm comfortable. And I'm thinking, hey, I'm enjoying this movie. Now, there were some things, for instance, they had a lot of interior shots, interior scenes of what is supposed to be the old Madison Square Garden. It felt to me, having been on a few movie sets in my day, it felt like they shot at some rinky-dink, high school or college auditorium, and they put a lot of dark lighting to basically mask the fact that they probably had 100 people as extras that day instead of 10 or 15,000. And that's okay, I get it, but they really didn't. They didn't really do a great job of some of the sports venues. I mean, some of them, the ones that are smaller, like barns, because basically. Sweetwater starts off as a Harlem Globetrotter when we jump into this movie. And that was very interesting too. See, I didn't know this whole story about how the Harlem Globetrotters, their guy who founded that team, Abe, I can't remember his last name, but Abe, played by Kevin Pollak, who did quite a good job. Actually, some good acting in this thing. Richard Dreyfuss, Jeremy Pivens is the coach. Funny that if I got this right, was it Lipwich? The guy that Jeremy Piven was playing was like 6'5" in real life, and Piven's like 5'10". So I thought that was kind of funny. Hey, it's filmmaking, it's acting. So if you're gonna get everything by the fucking book, like, oh, we need a 6'5" actor to play the coach. How many fucking 6'5" actors are actually good actors? And of those that are good actors, how many were available when they were filming this movie, and how many had the box office appeal, or even, I dare say, the acting chops of Jeremy Piven? So when you make a fucking movie, folks, Roger, you have to take into mind all these elements. Who's available? Who can we afford? Who's going to put asses in seats? Who's going to be a good actor? And certain truth elements. If you wanted the fucking truth, you'd make a goddamn documentary. This is a film, okay? So I thought it was good. I mean, there are some cliches, which I caught on, and I think EGBERT didn't mention this one, but it's the typical thing of like, the black guy in the 60s is trying to go to the nightclub, the racist doorman and the racist maitre d' won't let him in. The white rich guy, Irish, who was played by Carrie Ewells from good old Princess Bride, he comes over. He lets, he gives them the dookie and tells them to let him in, let Sweetwater in. And, of course, Sweetwater finds himself entranced with the lovely female, kind of Italian-American singer woman. So, the forbidden love. And then he gets beat up in the fucking parking lot. And then she has to tend to his needs, so forth. So there's some cliches in there. I mean, and then the story is kind of bracketed. It's actually Jim Caviezel, who's best known as Jesus. He plays a sports beat writer in 1990 who's in Chicago, and he's in a cab, and he's asking the cab driver to play him turn up the sports report about Michael Jordan, and then that starts a conversation with the cab driver, and lo and behold, the cab driver is Sweetwater himself. So, look, is it the most original fucking movie? No. It's, I guess, your typical, integration movie, overcoming racism, progress. The game changes, the razzle-dazzle, as they say. Coach Abe tells his players, the Globetrotters, to stop playing white in practice. I mean, the white players look like a bunch of fucking buffoons compared to the more muscular black players. I mean, yes, all the goddamn cliches. Well, fuck, maybe EGBERT's right. But overall, I liked the goddamn movie when I was watching it. That's the problem with reading reviews or watching reviews. Not that I'm telling you not to watch all of Mike's Instant Movie Reviews, because you should watch all of them, for Christ's sake. But the problem is, if you listen to other people's opinion, they might swerve you and make you not enjoy a movie you should be enjoying, okay? So Roger Ebert, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I think you've just seen one too many fucking movies in your life, and now you're getting crotchety. Crotch. So it's a hot Saturday afternoon. I'm going to be watching some UFC later. I do have 3 channels now. This is one Mike Messier. There's also One Man and a Camera Films. There's also, that's my original films. That's my high-end stuff. There's One Pro Wrestling Fan. I've divided all my wonderful content. Buy a book. Go to the upper right corner. Buy a book. I've been creating art recently. Look at all my wonderful art. Oh, this is blank.